The purpose of this presentation is to analyze traditional news distribution against emerging forms of news information via the internet to gain understanding of their authenticity. And this is very important. First of all, we will start off, what exactly is information? Is an important definition we need to clarify. For this presentation, we will be discussing information is that which reduces uncertainty. And what exactly is the single greatest creator of uncertainty? The future. Will there be traffic on my drive to work? Is there a parade today? Who should I invest my money in? Will it even be there when I retire? By providing up-to-date information, citizens can reduce their uncertainty, allowing them to more efficiently plan their day, their month, their year. By analyzing news, we can discover how to get news, where to get it, and what librarians can do to educate their community. And most importantly, should news on the internet even be filtered? News 1.0, an analysis. The system of news that we have in America has only roughly existed for the past 300 years. Before that, in Europe, town criers and posters, or broadsides in Scotland, distributed much of the news. Hear ye, hear ye. By yelling loudly to the illiterate public, news can be distributed about politics or shipyard sales in the case of ancient Egypt. And this was very important to tell the community about stuff for sale. But they weren't always biased. In Greece, only the most attractive and the loudest town criers worked in ancient Greece. And over thousands of years, following the printing press, this news distribution distributed into a more familiar pattern that we know as today. In 1631, the Gazette of France began distributing political news, followed by Samuel Peck in England. But exactly how did these reporters function in society? Were they unbiased? Were they active? Were they participators? During the French Revolution, reporters were active participants and openly biased. In the case of Louis-Sébastien Mercier, who voted against King Louis and his beheading. So this is not the best method, but it was developing. Here's a more modern scenario of a modern reporter calling sources, retrieving as much information as possible to fact check. But this has less been the case. In the past 30 years, newspapers have had drastic reductions in their weekly subscriptions. Although the need for information is still there, maybe there is a better place people are getting their news, a more efficient place. But first, why is there a decline in newspaper subscription? A reporter's wake. Rupert Murdoch, owner of Fox News, among many other news companies all over the world, at one time employed 8,731 staff employees. Amazing. By 1988, only 949 staff members. That's sad. Here are a few reasons we will explore why there were such drastic cuts in staff. Did news corporations operate too economically, hindering their own abilities? Or did citizens lose trust in their newspapers? As respected British journalist Nick Davies reported, drastic cuts in news reporting staff hindered their ability to report news. But even cable news cannot win the race against the lightning-fast internet and its news reporting abilities. And as Keith McAllister reported, it is absolutely true, and anybody who says otherwise is slinging bullshit, that every mistake that's made in the news business is made because of speed. But there is a limit to people's amount to process information. As Dave Moreau said, there has to be cognitive time for a viewer to absorb detailed, complex, nuanced information. Understanding complex and rapidly changing events cannot be done in an instant. And as 63% of Americans said, they don't believe that news stories are often accurate. And this is why we're finding the rise of internet and News 2.0. By comparing News 1.0 with News 2.0 and the internet, we will find some very interesting facts. First of all, cable and paper news distribution, as we left off, had drastic cuts in their staff. As a result, they have drastically limited their ability to report accurate information. As TV reporter Shepard Smith reported about Eliot Spitzer, New York governor, he reported that he resigned. He reported as fact that he resigned. And this was not fact. Eliot Spitzer had not resigned. He would not resign until 2 days later publicly. Imagine reporting that the president in an election won an election 2 days before the actual election. So that's not good information. And where exactly did Shepard Smith work? Fox News. Even though News 1.0 has its downsides, News 2.0 from the internet is not much better. Few blogs, social networks, or unofficial websites should be trusted, ever, as news sources. But if a picture is worth 1,000 words, YouTube is worth 1 billion, as we will see later in this presentation regarding Iran's presidential elections. What role exactly does Facebook and Twitter play in news distribution? IDK, what's news? On Facebook and Twitter, in addition to persons and professional organizations and companies, all of which are exploiting social network to distribute their news and company-related information. This is a path that was once reserved for town criers and newspapers. In this case, social networking does not fit the nature of its title. Bypassing cable and newspapers allows individuals and companies to freely distribute anything they choose. Just like laws limit cable and newspapers from inaccurately reporting news, the same laws limit Facebook, YouTube from inaccuracy of news. So this is less of a concern. By not having cable and newspapers filter news, libraries must help educate their community about reliable sources of internet news. Here are a few ideas that librarians can do. First, recommend valid news websites to get information from. Encourage fact-checking. Always ask questions. Who wrote this blog? Who posted this blog? Develop internet news classes for local libraries is a great idea, because more and more, all of the news analysis rests in the viewer to determine truth and reduce their own uncertainty. But where has all this unfiltered news got us? The omnipresent digital reporter. Who exactly is the omnipresent digital reporter? Anyone and everyone. Our tools, camera phones, and social networking to broadcast information to the world. Even wedding event information is being distributed often on Facebook. This has created great potential, but as John Feather commented, it's widening the information gap by requiring complex technological means of accessing the news, whether it be Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. By making news distribution more complex, it is also harder to control or censor information, as the country of Iran found following its presidential elections this past June. Warning, the following images are unfiltered images uploaded to social networks. These are particularly images that Iran's government did not want anyone to see. Life is unfiltered. Why should news? Where do you get your news? Thanks for viewing.